One of these places are the Conn Barracks in Schweinfurt, Bavaria, Germany. Our story begins with the Nazi regime, who, arming up in anticipation for the conquest of Europe, commissioned the base in 1935 as a primary Luftwaffe training base, particularly for the field Stuka bombing pilots. In March of that same year, efforts began rapidly to construct this airbase, and 2 years later, in September 1937, it was finally finished. The first trainings began immediately, but many cadets died during the practice of difficult art. This was due to the training program, which included diving at around 350 km an hour with your airplane and then pulling up at the last moment in order to maximize precision during bombing raids. This was specifically dangerous for inexperienced pilots, as they would often pull up too late and crash head on the ground, making the death rate of this training astonishingly high. As World War II rolled over Europe, the German Nazi Party started the Rassenhygiene, or in English racial hygiene policy, which goal was to sterilize and euthanize undecided people, including the US race, mental patients and homosexuals. In 1939, big parts of the Conn Barracks were repurposed as a mental ward and psychiatric facility, where the medical staff could not only do experiments and tests on the patient, but they could also fulfill the promise of sterilization and euthanization of the people to prevent them from reproducing. Inside the building they built several embalming rooms, euthanasia chambers and crematoria to continue their operation properly, and most importantly for them, efficiently root out the existence of the people they deemed undesired. After the war ended in 1945, American troops occupied the base, and due to its prime location in communist Eastern Germany, they decided to permanently stay there for the rest of the Cold War. Due to them moving in, many of the previous embalming rooms and euthanasia chambers made by the Nazis were completely refurbished and repurposed as sleeping quarters and living spaces for the soldiers accommodated there. They renamed the Flugplatz Schweinfurt, as it was previously known by the Nazis, the Conn Barracks, after a US Air Force commander with a similar name. What seemed like a good idea at first to save money by using pre-existing infrastructure was later shown to be less of an adequate thought by some. During the Cold War, a soldier staying in a specific room that used to be an embalming facility reported that he woke up in the middle of the night with a weird feeling of something looking at him. At the edge of his bed, he observed a young Luftwaffe pilot standing there, accompanied by a nurse who seemed covered in blood. To his dismay, he was unable to move. The pair were talking in German about the soldier in question, pointing at him occasionally and referring to him as their Patiente, or patient in English. The scene went on for a while, after which the pilot mumbled something unintelligible to the nurse. The nurse then proceeded to lean over the soldier with a devilish smile and started choking him until he passed out. The next day he was terrified and reported it to his commander, who of course noted it off as just a nightmare. However, a couple years later, a soldier with no connections to the previous victim of the ghostly pair reported the same appearance with eerily similar testimonies of what exactly happened, without even having met each other. These soldiers, however, were not the only ones who reported nightmares and unexplained phenomena in a specific room. Many others felt weird sensations and feelings of touch during the night. It might very well be possible that the Luftwaffe pilot was one of the cadets who died during training, and that he, when he was still alive, assisted one of the embalming nurses in killing a patient that proved to be still alive after the initial euthanasia with the preferred method of choking. It wasn't uncommon for soldiers to help nurses with particularly difficult patients if the method of euthanasia didn't work. After all, it is possible that the pair confused these Americans with their own patients and thus attempted to kill them. It is also possible that the pair might have died during the initial bombing of Black Friday, where US-American bombers bombed the entire city of Schweinfurt and took out a big part of the Conn Barracks. This isn't the only weird occasion that happened in the Conn Barracks. Many soldiers reported having witnessed a woman walking around in the hallways late at night in a hospital dress with an umber of fluids in her hand. The woman, when seen, would always walk around aimlessly through the hallways with a sad expression on her face, before disappearing into nowhere. She was likely one of the many victims of the Nazi policy who were forced into abortion because she was deemed too impure to have children. Another soldier said he saw what appeared to be a Luftwaffe pilot walking through the basement of the building, before turning around to him, smiling softly and then walking away. It is said that this pilot walked away into one of the many unexplored escape tunnels that were built during the war. But even when not aware of these appearances, many soldiers have gotten the feeling of something watching, and danger when there was clearly nothing to fear around. The feeling of eyes following you during patrol are common enough in the base, and are able to impose fear and dread on many of those who were residing in the base. No one was able to explain it, and there seemed to be no end in sight for the hauntings. In 2014, however, the US Army decided that the base was no longer needed and gave it back to the German government. Could this be the end of the frankly creepy occasions that surrounded the Conn Barracks a mystery? Or could the fact that the German government is planning to use the facility as a refugee camp keep the stories alive? It might only be a matter of time until the new inhabitants start seeing things as well. Until then, the mystery that covers the barracks in its trail of mystery will continue to prevail. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, please hit the subscribe button on the screen right now. We will see each other next time. Goodbye.